I've tried some seemingly dumb things on this channel before in the chase of either improved productivity or better use of technology, like working in VR or using a TV as my monitor. And whilst both of those experiments turned out to actually be a pretty big success with some real world benefits, I'm not so sure about this one. When I bumped into Valerion at CES earlier this year, they asked if I would check out their ultimate 4K streaming laser projector, the StreamMaster Plus 2, which at $1899 is actually more affordable than some of the flagship ultra-wide gaming monitors that I've reviewed on this channel recently. So I jumped at the chance of doing something stupid once again with trying to use this projector combined with one of their ALR screens for productivity purposes and using it in place of my monitor. Now, one thing I didn't realize was the work involved in assembling the 120-inch ALR screen itself. It took two of us a couple of hours to put it together, and because this screen is designed to be wall mounted, we had to get pretty creative with where we put this thing in the studio. And the reason you want to use an ALR screen, which stands for ambient light rejection, is because it can have a dramatic impact on the image quality and, as the name suggests, rejecting ambient light from anything other than the projector itself. Now, we placed the projector the recommended 3 meters away to fill the 120-inch screen, and it was all go from there. And first impressions are that this is very quiet. Even after long use, usually you can hear the fans whirring in most projectors, but this one has honestly been so quiet, I can't tell if it's on, and when I turn it off, I have to go and check it because there is really no audible noise coming from this thing, other than the speakers, of course. So as far as the specs go for the projector itself, this is the StreamMaster Plus 2, which is their more affordable range, but still with many of the features that their more expensive flagship home theater projectors have. Now, taken from their website, this is a 4K RGB triple laser projector, which puts out up to 2000 ISO lumens with a 10,000:1 contrast ratio, support for IMAX Enhanced, Dolby Vision, HDR10+, Active 3D, and Filmmaker mode. It is a 4K UHD projector, but can run at up to 240 Hz when in 1080p, albeit with a 4 millisecond input latency. It is Chromecast, Miracast, and AirPlay 2 enabled, and it works alongside Google Home, Apple HomeKit, Alexa, and even Control 4 home automation systems. And it has Google TV built in. So there are a few ways to get this working for me here in a working or productivity environment. I can AirPlay my MacBook Air, in which case all I get is a 1080p display, or I can hook up directly via HDMI, well, using a dongle because, of course, good old Apple. And this way I can get the full 4K resolution, albeit at only 60 Hz. But again, we're doing productivity stuff here, so not a huge deal. Now, if, of course, none of this interests you, we will, of course, be covering entertainment and gaming in just a moment, because the issue with trying to use this for productivity purposes is that at 4K, it's just a bit too difficult to read the text on screen for anything in documents or emails. Although, if you do switch over to 1080p, this, of course, gets much, much better due to the sheer size of the text. But then you are working on a screen that is 63 times the size of my 13-inch MacBook Air when at 120 inches, and yet operates at roughly the same resolution, which ultimately means that you are getting no real benefit from doing this other than the sheer larger size of the monitor. And since everything else, such as colors, contrast, brightness, are going to be much better on the MacBook Air screen, until I hooked up my recently upgraded RTX 5090 gaming PC to this thing, and I was suddenly hit with the realization that this was actually kind of cool, albeit with a few challenges with, choosing the correct scaling in various applications. If you happen to have a setup similar to what we have here, where you could sit at a desk which was positioned over the back of your sofa or couch, as you keep reminding me, I genuinely could see this being a good working situation for a lot of people. Now, in this particular situation, you could drop the monitor entirely, like reducing your desk setup to just a keyboard and a mouse, which is a really interesting and technically space-saving idea. Albeit you then have the question of where the heck do you put the projector itself, which, thanks to its auto keystoning, you can place off to the side, position it on a desk like we have, mount it to a tripod, or even ceiling mount it if you have a more permanent, out of the way position. So there are plenty of options here. So whilst the productivity aspects of this projector is a little so-so, it opens up a lot of other incredible experiences that you otherwise just don't get from a traditional like computer monitor or even a large screen TV. First of those, of course, being any movies, TV shows, so things like Disney, Netflix, even YouTube, absolutely crush it on this screen. Now, the one thing that most people worry about with a projector is most definitely the brightness. And this is where the ALR screen really comes into play. Now, as mentioned, we are using an ALR screen here, and it actually matters which way up the screen is because light is typically from top to down, either daylight from windows or just general house lights. The screen does an incredibly impressive job when you compare shining a light directly on the screen from the bottom and the top. It's a shocking difference. Now, what this does mean is that to get the best viewing experience, you really want to be sat directly in front of the screen. And of course, bright lights around you are still gonna impact the viewing experience, but still way less than without using an ALR screen. And in our use case here, with a pretty bright office with tons of windows, both around it, behind it, directly to the side of it, it is still very viewable. The brightness, yes, could be a little bit brighter. This model puts out up to 2000 lumens, whereas their Pro 2 and Max projectors push out up to 3000 lumens, but it is still very watchable in daytime. Then to get the full cinema experience, then yeah, of course, you're gonna wanna darken the room, grab some popcorn and just kick up your feet. And because the 10,000:1 contrast ratio combined with the ALR screen, dark scenes do actually look dark rather than the kind of grey washed out colours that you can get with other projectors. There's also a filmmaker mode, which adjusts the settings to get the image as close as possible to what the director intended. And you get a full Google TV smart interface built into the StreamMaster Plus 2. And so far, I haven't had any issues with this interface. It's fast, responsive, quick to load apps, and even built-in integration with Google Home, which all works surprisingly well. And because of that, it means you can effortlessly hook this projector into your home automation routines. Like usually, I'd always end up hooking up an external TV box like an Apple or Google TV, but so far I have found no reason to do that whatsoever. And when you do watch something, just wow. Like honestly, watching any form of content on this combination of projector and the ALR screen is an absolute pleasure. It really feels like you're getting the cinema experience from your own home. And that's all down to support for, well, everything from, you've got Dolby Vision, IMAX Enhanced, HDR10+, with support also for 24 and 48 FPS as standard. You've got colors, look amazing, and the detail and sharpness is also excellent. Now, sure, it's not going to be as vibrant or as bright as a physical screen, but how often do you get a 120-inch screen in your home? And there are reasons why people go to, see movies at the cinema on a big screen because of the experience. This isn't like the Meta Quest 2 or the Apple Vision Pro where you put on a headset and it's super antisocial. This is very much something you can enjoy either alone if you just want to sit in a cinema experience by yourself or with family and friends over. Now, there are two 12-watt speakers built in, which honestly are well worth upgrading to your own soundbar or speaker system. Because if you go to, all this trouble of creating a home theater experience with the screen and the projector, then the least you can kind of do is put a little bit of effort into mirroring that sound experience as well. And this is actually where something like the Sonos Arc Ultra, which we reviewed on the channel recently, can actually have a massive positive effect on the content you consume and give you just that full-on like Dolby Atmos like cinema experience. And since most people are just gonna, put this projector behind them, although you can go rear projection, but with it behind you, audio coming also from behind you is just really weird. Now you do get HDMI 3, which has support for audio return channel, ARC. So again, just grab a super long HDMI cable and run this from the projector to the soundbar and just instantly upgrade your audio experience. And if the TV and movie experience doesn't sell you, then what about gaming on a 120-inch screen, which can reach up to 240 Hertz in 1080p modes, and with a 4 millisecond response time, it's actually one of the lowest response times available on a projector right now. You can also get 120 Hertz at 1080p with an 8 millisecond response time, and 4K 60 Hertz at 15 milliseconds response time. And were I not having to fight with the current issues with constant game crashes and general stability issues with the latest RTX drivers, it would have been a way more fun experience. Personally, I still think for any serious gaming, I would still want to stick to my gaming monitor that we recently reviewed, the LG 45-inch Ultra Gear. But for casual gamers, this is a pretty damn good experience. Colors again, they look great, vibrant, punchy, and whether you are gaming on a PC or on a console, it does give you just such a great experience that is very close to what you get on a traditional TV, just with that, huge scale of a cinema projector instead. But for gaming and content, absolutely, yes. I think if you are buying one instead of a TV, then you do need to think about what your own use case will be. Now, if you are fortunate enough to have, an epic cinema room or gaming room, then absolutely it is up there with many of its competitors, and with some of the best brightness, colors, and low response times for a projector, especially at this price, it is a really good choice. Now, to see how this experiment went with a TV, check here, and for fun working in VR, check here, and I'll see you in that one. Cheers, bye-bye.